You are Locked On Giants Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR, and today the Giants drop the final game in Milwaukee and the final game of the road trip as they're shut out by the Milwaukee Brewers. Final score today, 6-0. Hayden Birdsong was inefficient again today on the mound, and it led to an early exit for the young Giants starter. He ran up his pitch count over 90 pitches before the end of the fourth and couldn't get out of the inning. Meanwhile, the Giants offense made another pedestrian pitcher look like a Cy Young candidate. Just call him Cy Young Civale today, as long as he's pitching against the Giants. Aaron Civale pitched the best game of his 2024 season against this lifeless Giants offense. They had just 4 base runners all day long and none after the 5th inning. This team is now 7 games back from the final wildcard spot and under 500 for the season with the loss today. We'll break it all down. But first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please hit that subscribe button. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. Make sure to check out the Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. After making us your first listen after this Giants game, follow up and make Ben Kaspik's a daily show your second listen. Ben did a deep dive on future building next season, prospects, all that kind of stuff, because that's where we're at in this Giants season. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. At least it is on the app, but not for the Giants. I think they just forgot that this was an early start out there in Milwaukee, because this team looked like they were sleepwalking from the start of this one. I mean, Fitz drew a walk in that first one. Then Conforto with the 2-out single puts runners at the corners with 2 outs. And then Matt Chapman promptly strikes out. And that was half of the Giants' total base runners for today. I mean, that was their only at bat with the runner in scoring position. It came right there in the top of the first. It ended in a Matt Chapman strikeout. Giants left 4 runners on base today. I mean, this was one of the most putrid offensive performances that this team has turned in all season long. I mean, you have a guy, Aaron Civale, on the mound. And if you pull up this guy's Baseball Savant page, as I've explained before, I am not the best numbers guy. But if you look at this page, I can tell you, blue on Baseball Savant, bad. Red, good, blue, bad. And there's not one single thing on here that is red for Aaron Civale's Baseball Savant page. He is in the bottom half of the MLB in almost every single measurable statistic. I mean, even advanced statistics. I mean, he's got negative run values for his fastball and for his breaking pitches and his off-speed pitches. So this guy has had a very, very subpar season and has only recorded 2 separate games this season where he's even recorded an out past the 6th inning. Today he pitches 7 complete innings and doesn't give up a single run to the Giants. I mean, this was pathetic. Absolutely pathetic from the Giants. I mean, this guy has ERA up near 5 for the season. He's got a pretty bad walk rate. I mean, he's walking guys at 7.9% of the time. Giants only drew 2 walks today. He's only striking guys out 21.4% of the time. That's like bottom half of the league, like almost bottom third of the league for starting pitchers. It didn't matter. Giants struck out 10 times today. This team is so bad right now, so incredibly just painful to watch. It just makes me mad watching this Giants team every day go out and just get the ass kicked out of them. Meanwhile, we got the Dodgers down there having just the time of their lives with the Shohei Ohtani bobblehead giveaway. And I'm sorry for bringing this up, but I can't stand the fact that this team is floundering the way that it is, and the Dodgers have like a 3-mile long line to just get into the game for a damn Ohtani bobblehead. Yeah, I know it was with his dog too. I won't sit here and rip his dog. At least the decoy Ohtani's dog threw out the first pitch yesterday ahead of that bobblehead thing. The bobblehead featured Ohtani with his dog, and That's the vibes they got down there in LA. I only bring this up to contrast the vibes because meanwhile, we have the Giants out here begging you to come to this Marlins series. They're throwing out a drone show, a Buster Posey Funko Pop, a Logan Webb t-shirt giveaway, and they're not going to be able to even fill up half that stadium, I don't think, with the way that this team has been playing, with the fact that it's the Marlins coming to town and that it's like the least desirable team to go see in all of baseball. Meanwhile, the Dodgers are throwing parties on a Wednesday night and generating tens of thousands of people. I mean, amped, hyped, like stoked for baseball, watching that team. And I just want the Giants to get back to that so unbelievably bad. I mean, this team is lifeless, utterly lifeless. They're just, I mean, limping. I don't even know if limping is what they're doing, crawling to the finish line with like 2 broken legs. This team is incapable of anything at the dish. The one positive thing, if there was any positive thing today, Pat Bailey did make his return from the injured list, and he looked nice behind the plate. Didn't look so nice at the dish. Again, Bailey went 0 for 3 with 1 strikeout. Half this Giants lineup only got 3 at-bats in this game. If that doesn't tell you how bad this offense is at keeping the line moving, getting base runners on, just finding a way to get on base. I mean, they can't do it. They just can't do it. Only 2 walks in this one. Encarnacion drew a walk and Fitzgerald drew a walk in that top of the first inning is when Fitzgerald drew it. Encarnacion, he drew his walk in the top of the 5th. And that was the last base runner the Giants had for this entire damn game. I mean, just lifeless. Completely lifeless. I said as soon as this game was 6-0, I was like, well, that's pretty much it. We could have started the postcast right then in the 4th inning of this one because this offense is so unbelievably just putrid that they have no chance at coming back from a 6-0 deficit. Over the first 3 innings of this game, the Giants had 6 strikeouts. 2/3 of the batters that came up in the first 3 innings sent down swinging. I mean, figure out a way to hit the ball. Please, for the love of God, like figure out a way to get on base, move into scoring position. I mean, play small ball, do something to put the pressure on the opponent other than just striking out. And this is something that the Giants have struggled with all season long, and they cannot score runs in the early parts of games. And it allows starting pitchers to settle in, get really comfy, and have these really long outings against them. Aaron Civale just pitched 7 innings of shutout baseball against this Giants team. That should not happen. Absolutely should not happen. I mean, every guy who comes up against the Giants just looks like a Cy Young candidate. If you need a get right game, well, just circle the Giants on your calendar, because as a pitcher, you got to be looking forward to facing a team that's going to just gift you double-digit strikeouts. They're not going to take pitches. They're not going to try and generate walks. They're just going to go out there and I mean, essentially hand you a free 5 innings minimum of work as a starting pitcher. I mean, we saw it last night too with Freddie Peralta. I mean, Freddie Peralta, I'm not gonna dunk on him. Dude's a legitimate ace in Major League Baseball. But Aaron Civale is not a legitimate ace in Major League Baseball. This guy, I mean, was dumped off of another roster earlier this year. The Brewers traded for him, I think, from the Guardians at the deadline. They gave up a bag of chips for him. It was basically, if you guys like the movie Semi-Pro with Will Ferrell, one of my favorite movies, it was the Monix trade. They basically gave away their washing machine to go get this guy. Like, absolutely, like a used 10-year-old washing machine is basically what they traded away to go get Aaron Civale. And that guy, who is comparable to basically a 10-year-old washing machine, came in and struck out this Giants offense so many times today and made them look absolutely, I mean, just waving at the ball, lifeless, completely lifeless. The final line for Civale today: 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, only gave up 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. He's now 5-8 on the season with a 4.59 ERA. It's down to 4.59. Came into today with the ERA at 4.84. So this guy's ERA was 4.84 with a 4-8 record, and you let him come in here and just shut you down. Have some pride. Like, even if you're just know that this is insurmountable, you aren't going to be able to come back from this one. And if you're feeling that way, like, have some personal pride, even if you're down on your team. Like I need every single vet on this team to go up there and act like this might be, like they got something to play for. Like this might be their last stint with the Giants. You got Thairo Estrada up there doing absolutely nothing at the dish, as he's done for the vast majority of this season. This guy might be placed on waivers at the end of the year, or maybe even before. He's batting .217. Oh my God, it is so bad watching this team play. I mean, Michael Conforto, he's had an okay stretch recently, a lot of strikeouts for him. He didn't strike out today, had one of the 2 Giants hits in this one for Conforto. But I mean, batting .231 for the season. I need these guys to take more pride in their at-bats. Mark Canha, what's he doing next year? I need these guys to step up. And I mean, Fitzgerald and Ramos and all the young guys, like that's what you want to see. That's what you're wanting to build on for next year. Fitzgerald and Ramos and McRae are kind of like that nucleus of young guys that the Giants will probably, build their team around next year and in years to come. But when you have virtually every veteran on this roster, I mean, Chapman 0 for 3 with a strikeout, Bailey 0 for 3 with a strikeout, Thairo 0 for 3 with a strikeout, Lamont Wayne Jr. 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Somebody pick this team up, please. Like, it can't just be all the youth all the time. You need the veterans to have something to give to this team and play like their career might depend on it, because a lot of these guys, who knows if they're going to sign a second contract in Major League Baseball. And if they do, it's going to be minimum. It's going to be the vet minimum. It's not going to be, a monster deal for a guy like Thairo Estrada this season, or a guy like, any of these guys, Michael Conforto, any of them, Mike Yastrzemski, they're all so just painfully average. To quote Stephen Curry, very painfully average this year. Chapman gets a little bit of a pass just because of the defense and the fact that he's hit, 20 plus bombs this year. It's one of the first times we've had a Giants third baseman do that in quite a while. I think the first time since Pablo Sandoval. So I do like Chapman better than the rest. I think that he kind of has proven to us with his defense that he's here to stay, and or at least here to stay for the end of the season. But he has said publicly that he wants to return to the Giants next year, and I really hope he does, man. I mean, the rest of these veterans, I could care less if they come back, honestly. Like, I am so done with the Mike Yastrzemskis, the Michael Confortos, the Thairo Estradas, and I love watching these guys back. When a couple years ago, last year, even at certain points in time, Thairo had a great year last year, but it is just too much of the same, too much mediocrity, and just nothing, just so lackluster. The only thing worse than being bad in baseball is being boring. And this team is straight up boring right now. We got to take a quick break. But on the other side, we're going to talk about Hayden Birdsong's day and why he has had such a hard time with his efficiency. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Today's show is sponsored by Liquid IV. When you're taking in America's pastime, don't forget to hydrate with Liquid IV's Popsicle Firecracker flavor, a surefire summer hit. Get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. Because baseball and summer go together like Liquid IV and indulgent hydration. I'm an active guy. In the summertime, I'm always out going on hikes or making trips out to the beautiful California coast, going to Giants games, concerts, soon, hopefully some 49ers games. I'm outside and on the go a lot. And Liquid IV keeps me hydrated through it all. Liquid IV is more than just a drink. It's a science-backed way to hydrate better. Tear, pour, and live more. One stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than just water alone. Powered by LIV Hydroscience, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. So, no more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. And today's show is also sponsored by Game Time. I love live events, from concerts to sporting events and everything in between, and I rely on Game Time to get my tickets. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I also love the all-in pricing feature. Toggling this feature on shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. And Game Time also gives customers the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Receipt of copy does not constitute an order. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and just taking a peek at the chat, I'm seeing Giants look checked out, and of course, Farhan has to go. That's the one thing that we've been, a huge section of this Giants fan population has been advocating that, screaming from the mountaintops that this guy needs to go for a while. And I think that they're going to have a lot more people screaming that same thing if the Giants continue to just fizzle out at the end of this season. And a guy who's really been fizzling out lately is Hayden Birdsong. And it pains me to say this because I have been so high on this guy. His breakthrough into the major leagues was so nice. I mean, he had not given up more than 3 runs until the month of August. And now that it's August, it seems like this guy has he just can't find and recapture that form that he had earlier this year. And people want to point to the fact that, he had a couple really nice starts against the Rockies. He had that 12 strikeout performance against them and things like that. But earlier this year, over that stretch, he also looked great against the Braves. He looked great against the Guardians, and he looked great against the Twins, all 3 playoff teams. So what's the big difference now versus then? In the month of August, coming into today, he had a 7.80 ERA. That's going to go up after all the runs were charged to him today. In the month of July, ERA just sitting at 2.45. So obviously, as the season has rolled on, Hayden Birdsong has had some issues. And today, he quietly passed his career high pitch innings count. And of course, he's obviously in the major leagues for this first time in his career this season. But even total innings pitched in the minor league season, this is the most innings that he has thrown in any season of his life. So the arm fatigue seems to be settling in a little bit with Hayden Birdsong, and he's not doing himself any favors by going up there and spraying the ball all over the strike zone. It would be great if he could get it into the strike zone, spraying the ball all over. The left-handed batter's box when he's got a righty in the box. He cannot find the strike zone right now. He is walking guys at a 13.3% rate. That is bottom 3% in all of Major League Baseball. He's also getting hit really hard. Average exit velocity up to 91.1 miles an hour. That's Keaton Wynn territory. It's also bottom 3% in all of Major League Baseball. And he's not generating that many swing and misses, or he's generating swing and misses, but not that many outside of the strike zone. So what this means is that when he's missing bad. This chase rate number shows you that, he's in compared or the chase rate paired with the walk rate shows you he's throwing a lot of balls that are not close. Guys aren't swinging at him. They're comfortable sitting up there and seeing some pitches from Hayden Birdsong. And I think that's probably most team strategies against him right now is make this guy work. He threw a ton of pitches, up over 90 pitches before he was able to get out of the 4th inning. Today, he threw 92 in total, only 49 strikes. So again, threw more balls than he did strikes. This is a theme we have seen with Birdsong so far in his last couple starts. He went 3.2 innings pitched, gave up 4 hits, 5 runs, 5 earned, 4 walks, and 6 strikeouts. So the strikeouts are there. The walks, though, everything, all of it is not great. The Brewers jumped out to a quick lead in this one, and it wasn't feasible for the Giants to come back. It was by the bottom of the fourth, the Brewers had gone up 6-0. In that fourth inning was really, really a bummer for Birdsong because he got the first two batters of the inning out, and then he walked the next two, pushing that pitch count way up over 90. If he had been able to get out of that inning, he probably comes out for the fifth, and who knows how this game goes after that. Instead, he walks those two guys. He's taken out for Sean Jelly, and Chourio doubles down the right field line promptly. Both runners score. Both of those free 90s come in to hurt the Giants. And Chourio, man, this guy has just looked so good all season long, really, but especially in the second half, but especially in this series against the Giants, he's looked like the real deal. This guy stealing bases, playing defense, roping doubles, hitting home runs, hitting mammoth home runs off the scoreboard. This guy looks like he's the real deal. And the Giants, their bullpen hasn't done the best job at saving the starters when they leave inherited runners on base. Bullpen's been letting some of those score. They're not the worst in the league at this, but they could do a much better job than they have been doing so far this year. And you gotta figure out a way to help out your starters when they're struggling. And Hayden Birdsong especially is struggling right now. One thing that I thought was another interesting takeaway and that tells us that he's having some arm fatigue and that he's not really doing the same thing that he was able to earlier in the season. And just look at the length of his outings. Over the entire month of July, there was only one game that he pitched in where he did not pitch at least 5 innings. He had 4 games where he pitched at least 5 innings, and out of his 5 games pitched in the month of July. In the month of August, he hasn't pitched 5 complete innings at all. He went 2 innings against the Nationals, 4 1/3 against the Tigers, 4 2/3 against the A's, 4 innings against the Mariners, and now today 3.2 against the Brewers. He also has not won a single game since the month of July. The Giants haven't won a Birdsong start since the month of August. So he's got 5 losses in this month of August, and it's really frustrating to see this kind of tailspin that Birdsong has fallen into in this month of August. Hopefully he'll have some time to turn it around in September, something to build on in the offseason. But right now, this is not what you want to see from a guy that, I was so high on this guy. His stuff is absolutely electric. His swing and miss stuff is great. You look at his whiff rate, it's pretty good, 30.3%, the 83rd percentile of all major league starters, but he's not getting the chases. And that's where he can improve dramatically. If he can get some of these bad misses just, a little bit closer to the plate, like you don't need to hang stuff over the plate all the time. It's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying he just needs to become Logan Webb and pitch to contact and pump strikes, although that might help him a little bit if he can learn how to pitch to contact a little bit more instead of always trying to go for the strikeout. And again, that affects all of this. The chase rate down at 26.5%, and that whiff rate up at 30.3%. You just need to throw these pitches a little bit closer to the zone, get the ball over the plate a little bit more often, and he'll be right back to where he was earlier this season. I do like his breaking stuff. I think that he needs to mix that in a little bit more. The changeup looked really good today. For the most part, but those off-speed pitches, he could throw them more, and it would help his fastball out. That fastball is electric. It's got a lot of life to it, a lot of giddy up, or if you want to use the numbers term, it's got a very high spin rate. But I just like the baseball term giddy up a little bit better. But this guy, he's got the stuff. That's not the question. He just needs to develop the control and kind of get his head right, because it seems like once he starts falling into a rhythm where he's walking guys, he has a really hard time pulling himself out of it. And one more note on Birdsong's inefficiency today, just to show you guys how many pitches this guy was throwing to get through at bats. He saw 19 batters. 15 of those 19 batters saw at least 4 pitches. You aren't going to last very long in games if you're throwing at least 4 pitches to every single batter. You got to figure out a way to pitch to contact a little bit more. You don't need to strike every single opponent out. You just don't need to do that. You can rely on your defense. you gotta do something a little bit differently than what he's been doing. Hopefully the Giants pitching coach, Brian Price, gets with him and they can solve this problem before the end of the season and give him something to build on for next year, because it's pretty much all that we have at this point. It's the only solace we have for the Giants, who now are 7 games back of the Atlanta Braves. I think this is officially, like, they're not mathematically eliminated by any means, but it's over, right? I mean, there's zero chance this team is going to make the playoffs. Coming into this one, Fangraphs gave them like a 1.7% chance of making the postseason, or some crazy low number like that. Tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised if that number's below 1%, because I mean, it would take a just massive, catastrophic collapse by, multiple teams ahead of the Giants in the National League wildcard race right now. The Braves, the Cubs, who are really hot, all of a sudden the Mets, all of these teams ahead of the Giants right now, and the Giants just skidding out. Got to take one more quick break. On the other side, Giants, there's two different Giants milestones that we got to discuss that happened today. One is an anniversary and one was a milestone. So we got to talk about that on the other side, put a bow on this one, and just find something positive to talk about before we wrap up this show. This is the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports, and unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going to go off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on PrizePicks. And of course, preseason football is, here kind of, we just wrapped it up, but regular season football is on the way. But right now, you can also pick more or less on 2024 season-long stats on PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's Locked On MLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play just $5, and you don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and kind of a bad day. Well, definitely a bad day for Hayden Birdsong, but kind of an extra bad day because his birthday is tomorrow. He turns 23 years old tomorrow. You would have loved to see this guy get a win and pull out of this slump, at least for his birthday, man. But nope, can't do it. Instead, the Giants lose 6-0. They are shut out in their final game of the road trip, final game in Milwaukee. With the loss, the Giants, a losing road trip. They could have salvaged it and made it a 500 road trip with a win today after they went 1-2 in Seattle. But instead, the Giants can only pick up 2 wins on this 6-game road trip, and that's about par for the course for this Giants team. It would have also been nice to get a win today because it's Dwayne Kuiper home run day. And we got to celebrate Kuip any possible moment. He's got a lot of family back in the Midwest. On the broadcast, they were talking about the tradition of when Kuip would always go out there, he'd always go see his family and come back with a bunch of kringle, which is like a Midwestern, like Danish style pastry that he'd then share with everybody, with the broadcast team, with the players, with everybody. And Kuip obviously not making some of these road trips anymore in his advanced age. But Dave Fleming, credit Flem, amazing broadcaster in his own right, went and made sure to keep this tradition going, went and picked up some kringle to go share with all of the broadcasters, and they posted a funny picture on social media and all that. So But yeah, on this day, August 29th in 1997, Dwayne Kuiper hit his only career home run. Wasn't in a Giants uniform, but we celebrate anyways because we celebrate Dwayne Kuiper any chance we can. And we got to find something positive to talk about, quite frankly, on the Locked On Giants postcast. I mean, if you're watching like on the pregame shows, they're like just going around the MLB because there's just scraping the bottom of the barrel because there's not a lot to get hyped about with this Giants team right now. But one other thing that was kind of just an interesting, cool little note, Matt Chapman logged his 1,000th MLB game played today with his start. And I think we got to give Chappie a little love. He said publicly that he wants to stay with the Giants next year. He also said he wants to help recruit guys to come to San Francisco, which is something you so desperately need from a veteran like that if you're going to get guys to come here. And what this actually made me think of was kind of like the Andre Iguodala move when the Warriors brought Iggy in when they had this budding young group of talent and they still needed a bridge to get to where they saw themselves going. And Chapman could be that kind of ambassador that Andre Iguodala was, while also still giving the team some great minutes, some great leadership, and phenomenal defense. I thought that this comparison, it just kind of came to me. I thought this was spot on. I mean, Iggy was a great connector. Now it's Brandon Pajemski who has that nickname for the Warriors. But Andre Iguodala was such a great connector for those Warriors teams when Steph Curry and Klay were butting into the superstars that they became. And they had all these other, veterans that they were pulling in. And Iggy was at the epicenter of bringing in almost every single free agent. He was a glue guy on defense, did anything that you asked him to do. And Matt Chapman is kind of that same guy for the Giants. Both guys being a steady guiding force in the locker room, both guys giving you outstanding defense on the back half of their careers and still give you some really, really, really good minutes. And Iggy was also essential in recruiting Kevin Durant to come to the Golden State Warriors during their 4 championship run. I'm not saying that Chapman's going to do the same thing, but I do think it is very important to have a guy like Matt Chapman in your clubhouse at this point in the Giants' trajectory as a franchise. This is a guy who can help bring in other veterans from across Major League Baseball, a guy who has been around a long time and knows a lot of people in Major League Baseball. I mean, he was an A for a long time, and we know the Oakland A's are just scattered all throughout Major League Baseball because they can't retain any talent. So this guy, I mean, he's basically, I would assume he's got like a friend, like a close friend in almost every locker room in all of Major League Baseball, and that matters because he is going to have an influence on free agents coming here, and the Giants have not had anyone to do this in forever. I mean, yeah, Logan Webb can go out and make a pitch, but that's not a guy who's gone and played other places. It's a guy who grew up in Sacramento and is playing for essentially his hometown team. And yes, I know Logan Webb grew up rooting for the A's, but he's playing in his backyard that he grew up in. He doesn't know anything else. Matt Chapman has been around. He played for the Blue Jays. He played for the A's. He's back in the Bay now with the Giants, but he has seen a lot of baseball. Again, 1,000 career games for Matt Chapman. And I think that this is a vital piece to the Giants' future. It could be a very pivotal thing that, I mean, no one really thought Andre Iguodala was like going to change the entire trajectory of the Warriors franchise when they signed him. It was a nice addition to the team. And it was like a smart, good move for a guy that you maybe, like, I kind of assumed when the Warriors went out and got him that he was going to be kind of a rental player. He ended up being a staple, a guiding force during that entire championship run, an ambassador for the team. And I think that Matt Chapman can do the same exact thing for the San Francisco Giants. So we'll see how this offseason plays out. I mean, that's what you got to look to right now. And of course, the big looming question is, will Farhan Zaidi be the guy at the helm making these decisions in the offseason? And I'm seeing right now, as I'm saying this, more comments pull in saying fire Farhan. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to reach a fever pitch, I think, towards the end of the season once the Giants are mathematically eliminated or have a couple more really embarrassing losses like this one. I mean, this has got to be one of the most embarrassing losses of the season. It also seems like I say that. I mean, how many times have I said that in this month of August? This month of August has been really bad for the Giants. They've been not great in these one-run games today. Not a one-run game, but just showing no fight, no life at the end of the season. It's like these guys are very ready to go 1, 2, 3 Cancun at the end of the year and head into next season. Try again later. And it's frustrating, man. That's it's about the state of the Giants right now. And we'll just try and get on through to the end of the season. But if you guys are looking for something to kind of take the edge off of this painful Giants team this season, this painful end to the Giants season, make sure you're tuning in to the Locked On 49ers postcast, because the 49ers should be a hell of a lot better and more exciting than this Giants team was this year. 49ers poised to make another run all the way to the Super Bowl. And make sure you're staying locked in with us and me, Eric Triple E Engel, on the Locked On 49ers postcast all the way through the NFL season. So with that, that's all the time that we got for you guys today. The Giants fall 6-0 to the Milwaukee Brewers, shut out by Aaron Cy Young Civale, and say that very, very tongue-in-cheek if you haven't gotten that already at this point in the show. And Hayden Birdsong, very inefficient yet again, over 90 pitches, can't get out of the fourth inning, gives up 5 runs and 4 walks. He's got to start throwing some strikes, man. Threw more balls than he did strikes today. Very inefficient on the mound. The stuff is there. He's electric. He's got strikeout stuff. He got 6 strikeouts today. He's just got to make those pitches that those pitches that start in the strike zone and end outside of it just a little bit closer, and he will be a lot better. Thanks so much for tuning in. That's all the time we got for you guys today here on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll see you next time. Peace.